CompHub is our new central system, centralized workers' compensation system. And there are some things that are going to be new to you. They may be familiar to you in other applications. We want to make sure that on August 14th, you guys are absolutely ready to go, from logging in to getting your work done, from the second you sit down to start your work to the second you log out and finish your work for the day. We want to make sure that you guys are confident in the solution that we provided. So without further ado, I'm going to give you guys a bit of an intro of the basic overviews of CompHub. Our CompHub site is compub.wcc.state.mb.us. Now, when you travel to this web page, you're going to land on our landing page, which has our landing page currently looks like this. It will be changed quite a bit as far as appearance, but as far as functionality, it will remain the same. You will be able to see release notes, current news. You'll be able to access the work portal, which is the production system, the system we will be using for our day-to-day work. The test and training portal is what we'll be using today and what we will be using to test as well as train before release and post-release when we implement new processes and new utilities. We want you guys to jump in, test, and train. And we have a link for user registration as well as a link to our legacy WFMS system right now. So we're going to jump in and click the test and training portal. Excuse me, I got muted for a second. So we're going to be logging in with our external account. So we want to make sure that you have your cell phone handy. You're going to log in with, when we send you an email, we send you the registration email, you're going to be creating an account. And you're going to use the password that you created at that initial account creation. So just like many other applications, we're using two-factor authentication. I'm going to need to either have this code sent to my cell phone, or I can have it called into me, and it will give me an automated voice message, which will give me that code. I'm going to select send the code and have it sent to my cell phone. Now, once I enter that code, there's no need for me to press enter. There's no need for me to do anything other than enter that code. I'll automatically be taken into the CompHub inbox. Now, this is the landing page once we have logged in. The inbox is your central screen. Let me make sure I'm zoomed in. The inbox is going to be your central screen. I call it more of a dashboard because we're able to do more than just simply look at our inbox. We're able to start new actions. We're able to do a lot of different things with this. So you'll notice that on the left side, we have a side pane listing all of the cases. Now, these cases are broken down by subcategory. We have a full count here where we can view each of those individually after we have expanded these sections by clicking the arrows. Now, if there is a process that we normally work on often, you're able to simply flag that. And when you log in, those processes will come right up. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have a 3 color-coded system for processes and their due dates. So due dates are based off of commission business rules, which is based off of COMAR. They're based off of internal rules that we have here as well, just our commission business rules as an entity. And they're also based off of some of our internal decision making as well. Now, if I click the red, it's going to show me the cases that I have, the activities that I have that are past their due date. As you can see, the due date has passed. The yellow color code will show that the due date is upcoming, or in this case, the due date is today and it is upcoming at 6 p.m. At 6 p.m., that will go red. And our green means that we still have some time to get this finished. As you can see, the activity due date is 8/24, so we are good to go. Now, if we are working off of this system, it's recommended that we work from left to right to make sure we do kind of a first in, first out approach. Make sure that we're all keeping track of our processes and make sure that we're getting everything done in a timely manner. And then to reset, you just need to click this one on the far left. It will reset and give you all of your cases. In the top right-hand corner, you're going to see your initials. You're going to be able to access accessibility settings. You can change default font sizes, although these are not. The default font size is negligible as far as what we can set it to, but we can always zoom in. On our browser, 150% is what I'm using right now. And we also have the ability to give us some more working space, which we'll see when we get into some of these processes. So through this, you're able to change some of your accessibility settings, being your default font size. You're able to go ahead and look at some of the about information. But most importantly, above all else, you can change your profile picture. That's not most importantly. But most importantly, above all else, at the end of the day, you can click this and log out. That is how you're going to log out of the system. ComPub is full of tables, this being the most important one, your inbox. Now, you can sort your inbox based on any of these column headers. If you click the column header, you can sort, whether that be in alphanumeric, whether that be just numeric, or whether that just be plain text. It is going to sort rather in ascending or descending order. And the way you can tell how it's being sorted is you will see the mark, the arrow on the column it's being sorted. And you will see the arrow pointing upwards for ascending. Now, I call this a dashboard because not only can we just view our processes and our cases and our activities, but we can start new actions. So on August 14th, you will not have anything where it says recent processes. We will have to go to all processes and choose a process from there. Or on this inbox page, you'll notice right here and right here, we have two search bars that we can type directly into if we're looking to type and search that way. You'll type directly into that and press enter as you would on any other type of application. Please keep that in mind because as we go into processes, we're going to see a different way on how these things are done. Now I'm going to jump into one of our more simple processes just so you guys get a view of how these things work. how these controls work. Everything starts with a start form. Generally, our start form is used to link a process, a filing, a form, as they're formally called, to the underlying claim. A process is related to a claim. In this process, we're actually going to create a request for a claim. As you can see, we have these radio buttons. Radio buttons are going to give you a binary choice. You can choose accidental injury or occupational illness or disease. This will follow along universally wherever we have these radio buttons in any process. We have a date picker that you can use. Date pickers, you can use that to pick a date using the calendar, or you can manually enter it using MMDDYYYY format. In many of these processes, you're going to notice that we have a lot of pre-filled information, whether that be from your user profile or whether that be from your whether that be from the claim file. We have a lot of different controls for you guys to enter things into. For freeform, we have text boxes for freeform text. If we're looking for a specific response, we use drop-down controls. And you'll notice red marks are going to denote required fields. We're going to do a search. Now, this search is going to work universally across CompHub, not just in this process. This search is going to be universal. Now, what will not be universal now, as I mentioned before, let me take one step back. As I mentioned before, in the inbox, and while we are still on this process, I can go ahead and type directly into there, press enter, and complete a search. While I am on this screen, I cannot directly type into this. I must click the magnifying glass icon to begin the search. Now, different entities are going to have different fields you can search on. This is a business, so we have a couple of more search fields that you're allowed to search on. CompHub returns partial matches. If I type in the first couple of letters, I'm going to receive everything with that. It's automatically going to append what we call a wildcard character to the back of that. So we'll automatically get what is beginning with DE, DES. If we wanted to make it further, we can refine our searches using many of these things. Now, this is to be reserved for our more desperate cases, but the wildcard character, as you see here, the percentage sign can be used to retrieve all results. This is going to give me all the results pulled in from our database. And as you can see, there are quite a bit. That's 41 pages of 10 apiece. That's about 410 records. So that wildcard should be used sparingly. Now, as far as organizations, all organizations that are currently registered with the commission, all legacy claims, all of our data that we have will be migrated over into CompHub. So on day one, CompHub will have information, claims, and everything you need from day zero, if you will. We will have historic claims. We will have historic information already ready for you guys. And as Teresa mentioned earlier, once we have a consolidated list of you guys' emails, we will be able to automatically sign you guys up and have you guys send you guys the registration email, and then you guys will be a part of our database as well when we search. So we have something we call dynamically display fields. If you choose a certain choice, you may see that additional fields will be presented to you. Wherever we see this verify address, we have a verify address utility. You're going to see this in multiple processes. I'm only going to use this one once to demonstrate how this works. Now, I have purposely placed in the wrong information. Compub has the ability wherever we enter addresses to verify the address with USPS to make sure it conforms to those mailing standards. Making sure that we always use verify address when it's available allows us to make sure that we're getting mailable addresses, making sure that we're setting things in the correct jurisdiction if it's hearing related, making sure you guys get your mail, and making sure that there are no holdups in processing. So as you can see, it has now taken my 10 East Baltimore Street, given it the USPS standard. It has even corrected my postal code. So even if you are quite sure, it is still recommended to use this because it will give you the full postal code and will give us an address that we know will work. Now, we have required fields and we have fields that do not have that red piece next to them. Just because a field does not have a red line denoting it as required does not mean that it should not be filled in. Any and all information that we have should be entered in on the form. Not entering in that information may result in some sort of delay in processing. We may have to send it back for a revision. So we want to make sure we're not only just typing in what we need to in this thread just to push it through, because that could be detrimental for both sides. We want to make sure that we're processing things quickly. We want to make sure that we're processing things accurately, and we want to make sure that we have the full picture of things. So we talked about one table in Compub. Let's talk about how we have multiple tables that we use over and over. We use this attachments table. We like to give you the opportunity to add attachments where necessary and even where it is just optional. To add an attachment, simply click the plus icon, select the file upload icon. Remember that all attachments must be in PDF. We can upload that. And as much as we love our self-descriptive file names, we prefer a clear and concise description when we type in what exactly we are submitting as far as supporting documentation. Now, with all of our tables, we allow you to, of course, we have the sort as well. There's only one in this one. We have the ability to delete. You simply select this. By selecting it, you'll know it's unselected now. Selecting it means that it'll be in a bit of a darker hue. That's how you know it's selected. If you wish to delete, it will always, whenever anything is going to be deleted from Compub, we make sure that we're giving you the opportunity to make sure you're sure you wish to delete the row. If not, cancel. Okay, we'll go ahead and delete that row. We can add more attachments if we need to, and we can edit the existing attachments. We can X this out, upload a brand new one, or we can simply redo this description and save it. We're good. Now, this is something extremely important that I want to cover. Now, different processes are going to have different certification statements. Some may have more, some may have less, but we want to make sure that we have the ability now to sign electronically. So we have certification statements. I do recommend reading some of these because reading these whenever you get the chance, reviewing those, these are not very lengthy like the terms of service we usually get when we sign up for an app. These are important to look through. And then we have the ability to legally binding, have a legally binding electronic signature on our forms. Now, I've entered data I want to save so I don't lose any of that data that I've entered. I have my attachment sitting here, and I put in a test. Now, I've left the claim, the process, whatever the process is, whether it be claim, whether it be anything else. Once you've saved it, you can come back. My information is still in here. My information is still in here. My address is still saved. And my attachments are still in. Now, if I try to submit, it's going to show me where I'm missing my entries. If I click on these, it'll take me up and it'll glow yellow. Once I've selected that, it will go away. So if you do get errors on this stage, you're going to be able to simply just click right through them and correct them. And now we have a submission that is fully ready to be submitted. Now, CompHub is device agnostic. It's supported on anything with a web browser. Web browsers that we support are any modern version of Firefox, Chrome, or Microsoft Edge, regardless of the device, whether that be your tablet, your PC, your laptop, your smart TV, some refrigerators have it now. You're going to be able to access CompHub regardless of where you are. But keep in mind that the resolution will change based on what device you are using. And I believe there was one more thing I wanted to cover, and that was saving a document as a PDF. To quickly save a document as a PDF, all you need to do is go ahead. If you're using Word, you can save as, or you can print to PDF. If you're using a web page, no matter what, you will have the option to print to PDF or to save as a PDF. Please remember that when submitting documentation in, CompHub will not accept any other documentation type for security purposes as well as storage. So there are a couple more things we need to get out the way. We have electronic notifications, and then we have electronic notices or electronic documentation that's generated by the system. You are going to receive electronic notifications from the system. Generally, it's going to have this as the subject line. Claimant last name, claim number, and then the process. For some of Voc Rehab's process, there is a little bit of a deviation from this. But in general, there is always going to be this header. There is new activity in CompHub related to your claim. This body text is what will change based off the process. In this one, we have a case of issues being withdrawn. And then the footer is always going to have the link that will take you directly into CompHub, so you can go ahead and go right in, take that link, click that one link, and you're right in there. You're right where the documentation that has been referred to is in CompHub. You can log in, of course, but clicking the link is much quicker and much more convenient. We have something called the notification distribution list that is on the end of our system generated forms. It is going to list the parties that have elected to receive electronic notification, and is also going to list on the bottom piece the parties that require notification by a filing party via mail or other service per COMAR regulations. Before I move forward, is there anybody from the training team who would like to add anything?
Devin, I'll just one note that I wrote down just as a reminder as we were talking about the attachments, which it's super great to be able to put things together. When you're referencing the subject of the attachment, also just make sure, I can't emphasize enough to make sure you review what the attachment is. Unfortunately, the system cannot read what the document is to validate it. So whatever you're calling it, just make sure that is what's actually being attached. Because, human eye will be reviewing it anyway, but it'll allow anything to be submitted. So that's the downside for if you just upload and click, and just make sure what you're attaching belongs to the proper claimant, or particular process that you're working with. That's all I have. Thank you, Devin.
No problem. Mary?
The only thing I just wanted to clarify is on the notification distribution list is that the ones that have elected to receive electronic notification, the commission system will automatically send it to them. There's nothing that the filing party needs to do. The filing party is only responsible for those that require notification via mail. That's it.
Thank you. So CompHub has a lot of self-services. Most of them are built for you guys, but we have one called Update Profile Information, and that's going to be used to manage your user account. You can use the process to change your personal information, contact information, and notification preferences. Now, when you sign up, all of this information is going to be pulled in, and that's going to be part of your profile. Now, when things are auto-filled, they're auto-filled from the claim file or they're auto-filled from your profile. So we want to make sure that everything is up to date. We can update any sort of biographical information in the identity section, first, last name. We can edit anything that we need to here. All of these are free form. Notification email. We want to make sure that we're always keeping everything up to date. We do not want any delays in processing. So we've given you guys the self-service to be able to manage that yourself, to make sure that you guys have the ability to make sure everything is up to date and everything stays up to date. As you can see, we have the verify address here as well. So contact information is used by CompHub to send correspondence. As Mary just said, it's going to be sent to you instantly. So let's please make sure that one is up to date. We can toggle electronic notifications on or off using the other options section. Obviously, we recommend that you keep them on. If you turn them off, there is a very, very large chance that you will end up with a full inbox, or you will be misinformed. Or if you choose to receive by mail, then you may just have a delay. So electronic notifications are always preferred. And then we have the ability to change your password. If you would like to change your password, simply click the Yes Radio button. And then the password update screen will come up. Your typical password update screen is going to ask you for your old password, your new password, and then to confirm that password. Once that password is updated, you're going to be able to save that. Your password will be updated. The next time you log in, you'll have to use that new password. There is nothing else you'll have to do on your end other than log back in with that new password. You're good. Nothing else has to be changed. User registration will not be affected at all. That is simply just a password change. There are no password change policies right now, but we are looking at implementing them. Would anybody from the training team like to add before I move forward? All right, I am going to hand it over to Miss Dorothy Smith, our Deputy COO, just to briefly go over the voc rehab registration. We have a bit of a quick start guide here, but I'm going to go in after she talks, and we're going to go ahead and start a new application and go ahead and do a renewal application as well.
Okay. In this quick start, this display, you have multiple uses. You can register a new practitioner. You can renew a practitioner or withdraw an application. You can also update your license and provider information through this process. You can select your application type and click the tab. You can continue to open and select the proper forms. You have the options that I just mentioned. You can also go to the start form where you see the practitioner quiz, and you can take the required quiz, the mandatory quiz.
And that is what we're about to do right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click Start New Action. As I said before, I'm not going to use recent processes because on day one, we will not have that. We're going to hit this clipboard, all processes, voc rehab practitioner, manage voc rehab registration. Now, if you've accidentally clicked into somewhere else, all you have to do to get back, all you have to do to get back is click that start new action, and it'll take you right back to all of the processes and their subcategories. So we're going to go to start new action, voc rehab practitioner, manage voc rehab registration. So this is where we have the ability to select what we would like to do. If we select new application, we must also choose whether it's a waiver or practitioner registration. Renewal, we must also choose that. Withdrawing an application, we do not need to select those. And updating license information or provider information, we do not have to worry about that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start a new application, and we're going to use the practitioner registration. So this is a little bit difficult for everybody to see the full thing with the screen zoomed in, but we are going to make this work. So when we first start off, we're going to be presented with the vocational rehabilitation practitioner quiz. Now, the start quiz section is just going to tell you the quiz consists of 15 questions. These questions are from a list and they revolve. You will not get the same questions twice in a row unless luck is on your side. All questions must be answered. It shows your passing score, and it lets you begin when you are ready. Now, when it says once you have viewed all the slides, please click on the Start Quiz button to begin the quiz. When we say look at all the slides, we have the full voc rehab training module in here. You can go ahead and print that. You can go ahead and save that to use and to study I'm not encouraging anybody to use it as a cheat sheet, but you can use that to study with. Now, once we have taken care of that, we're going to see the Start Quiz button in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay. Do we have any volunteers to answer one of these questions? If somebody would raise their hand. If not, I can go ahead and take care of that. No, that's me raising my hand.
Okay, and as a reminder, if you do have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We are monitoring that and would like to capture your questions or any feedback and comments. Thank you.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and try my chance. And the good thing about that is if I do by chance fail the quiz, I am allowed to retake it.
Anyone can feel free to put in the chat if you have an answer to a question that Mr. Maxwell is working on. He does take phone of friends or chat of friends.
I'm honestly just doing this from memory, so let's hope that I get this one right. Rehabilitation are considered true. Teletherapy. That's true. That's true. Subject to any privilege. True. Mm. That seems like it's false. Any takers for this last question?
That is true.
Thank you. Practitioners are who employs. That's a trick question. All right, let's see how we did, guys. I want to save. Please tell me I passed. I've successfully passed the quiz. Okay, didn't expect that. So when we pass the quiz, we're going to see this confirmation. If we did not pass the quiz, we'll have the opportunity to go ahead and resubmit that quiz. So there's not really a true need to save here. We'll just go ahead and press submit so we can hit the practitioner registration process. So as I talked about before, everything has been pulled, all my personal information has been pulled directly from my user profile. So we talked about dynamic fields and before. Now we also have So have you ever been denied a license and or registration? If I click no, no problem. If I click yes, you answer yes, please provide details, including the licensing agency contact info. You'll see that based off of some of our selections, we may now have a mandatory field. We have the ability to add academic history in here. And with our tables, the controls on the tables remain consistent, but the places we add and the fields we add in will be different, of course, because the nature of all of our processes, or many of our processes, may be different. Was my major. Oof, I don't remember that. We can add more, or we can go ahead and delete. Service types. Service types are all predefined. When we have a drop down, it means we're looking for a specific answer, and we have our predefined answers in here. As we have another search box, let's hit the magnifying glass icon. So searching for a provider list, we have two pieces, the external code, and we have the name. I'm going to use the wildcard just to demonstrate. As you can see, we have anything that's in our database will be here. If you know the external code, that is preferred. You will come up with one exact match. Keep in mind that some things are spelled differently. Some have ampersands, some have periods and commas. Using the external code is always going to get you a single result. And there is no need to verify the address because we already have that in there. All right, so I've entered a little bit of information in here. I want to make sure I save this. Electronically signed. Please make sure that at least we understand this. Electronic signature, legally binding. We'll have your name, we'll have the date, and it will have the timestamp. We're going to go ahead and submit this. Now, this has been submitted to the commission. What we have here is a global form. Some have more details than others. This global form is what you will see when you have no further activities to do on a process. You have no more open activities. There's nothing else that you need to do before we go or before we get into the next piece. Now, just because you don't have any pending activities at the end of this piece does not mean that the commission is not going to review something and you may have another pending activity come when the process proceeds along. So there are processes that, of course, have back and forth communication between the community and the commission. And in that case, you will receive that new activity in your inbox. So we've done a new practitioner. Now I'm going to sign in as I am already a Voc Rehab practitioner in the system. I'm going to go to all processes, Voc Rehab practitioner, manage Voc Rehab registration. Now we try to make sure that we whether it be an accident or any other reason, we want to make sure that we're always, always keeping away from duplicate filings, keeping away from accidental data contamination, which is why we have drop downs instead of free forms. A good example right here. I'm already a practitioner, but I want to submit new applications for myself here. I'm already in the system as a vocational rehabilitation practitioner. Please submit a renewal application. Okay. I've selected renewal application, but I haven't selected anything here. Again, it's going to say it is not going to allow us to continue unless all prerequisites are met and the proper fields have been filled out, or the proper checkboxes, which represent fields, have been checked. We're going to see again that we have information already pre-populated, pulled directly from my user profile. Now I'm going to add a practitioner service type for which I am registering. Provider details. These can be edited at this point. I think I remember one of those codes. Nope, I don't. It was 441. Exact code, one result. I can add additional services. And I can use delete to go ahead and delete them. License and certification information. As we said, the ad is going to be the same, but the fields you have to put in are going to be different depending on what you are putting it in for, whether it be a license, whether it be an attachment, whatever you're denoting, we're asking for specific information regarding that row, regarding the information that you're going to be entering into our system, because that will be stored behind the scenes, that will be stored as part of the file. License type. Just got this one today. And let's say it expires in a year. So you saw I bypassed the date picker by just entering it in. Save. Oh, as we see, expiration date must be later than issue date. So if we have that before, will result in accidental data contamination. Now we're making sure that we do not have that as being possible. You couldn't even save that and get it on the form. Let's try that one more time. And there we go. So we're always trying to catch any sort of accidental data contamination, any sort of accidental duplicates, anything like that. We're going to make sure we catch that up front. The form is very intuitive. It has a lot of rules in the background. Nope. If I choose yes, becomes required. Now, when I talked about reading the certification statements, this is one that I was referring to. Different processes may have some different certification statements. These are legally binding. So like I said, these are a little bit shorter than the statement of terms that we use for apps. This application may only be used if the applicant provides bulk services to no more than 3 covered employees a year. And by checking this box, we're verifying that we're providing services for no more than 3 covered employees per year. That is our certification. This is our legally binding electronic signature. We're going to save this. We always like to take one good review. And we're going to submit that. And now we're back on the global form as we saw before. We have no pending activities. Everything has been sent to the commission. When we have activities, they will be in our inbox. And we can return back to our inbox. Compub has an idle timer for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes of inactivity, or after 15 minutes of inactivity, rather, you will be prompted that within 5 minutes, you will be logged out. You can click any button. It's generally going to be OK. It's going to ask you if you would like to continue. You click OK to extend your session. But if you leave the computer idle for 20 minutes, your session idle, your session will be suspended and you'll just log back in like you normally would. That's to protect you guys. That's to make sure that our accounts stay secure. And we also, when we're finishing up our work, we also want to make sure that we are logging out to make sure that we are keeping that integrity in our account. Before I proceed, is there anybody from the training team who would like to add anything? Right. So we're going to go briefly through the voc rehab request piece because we want to get it. We want to give you guys a background as you guys are a very central piece of this, as they will be searching for you quite literally when they select a practitioner. So voc rehab requests are filed by a claimant attorney. They're going to initiate that process through Compub. Using the request form, they're going to formally request voc rehab and select the practitioner from commission records. So we're going to be able to search based off of you guys' first, last name, provider, things like that. So the filing party is going to complete that request form simply by selecting their practitioner and uploading any sort of relevant documentation. We're not going to spend too much time on that because that's for the attorneys. Now, once the voc rehab request is submitted, the respective attorney will review the request and choose if they agree with voc rehab and the practitioner selected. So the attorney representing the respective organization will select whether they agree with voc rehab, as well as the selected practitioner. Any consent or objection notes, rather agreement or disagreement notes, can be added in the text box right below this status dropdown. If the practitioner is contested, the agreement, they've agreed that voc rehab, so we're going that voc rehab has been agreed on. We'll see what happens if it doesn't in a second. But if they've agreed on voc rehab, but the practitioner is contested, the quote unquote opposing attorney, being the non-requesting attorney, will select 3 vocational rehab practitioners within 5 business days. They'll use the forms or the similar table that we have here. They're going to have a search form. They'll have to select 3 practitioners that we have in our database. After that, the requester is given the option to choose from 3 out of that list submitted. They're going to have that same form they had before, but appended to the bottom, they're going to have the list of 3 practitioners to choose from. So they'll have these checkboxes and they'll be able to choose one of the practitioners from the options provided. Now, if voc rehab is not agreed upon, an automatic task for dispute will be created. This does take place in between the claimant, employer attorney, claimant attorney, and these other entities, but it's important for you guys to understand how this works. So we just have the dispute information and the dispute resolution in regards to, we can request dispute resolution by raising whatever the following issues are that one of that how should I say that compelled us to dispute in the first place. If we choose other, whenever we choose other, it's going to give us an opportunity to add in what we mean by other. We want to extrapolate as much as we can out of other. We would like there to be one day when other doesn't exist, but we know that's not possible. But as this system evolves, if we see a lot of the same things being placed into other, we can add that as a dispute reason. So where you see other, we're always going to need to define a little bit further for that. So I just want to let you guys know that when the whenever the voc rehab is not disputed or is not agreed upon, a dispute task will automatically be created. And that will have to be taken care of before it reaches what we're about to speak about next. And the moment you have all been waiting for, I'm going to pass this one back to Miss Smith, and she can explain the voc plan submission page. This is where you guys will actually be submitting your vocational rehabilitation plan.
Okay, this page mirrors the vocational rehabilitation plan that you are currently completing. If you see, you have the tabs at the top, the same categories you have on the paper form. We just automated it. Don't forget to fill in the information on the tabs. This form has to be completely filled out. There are red mandatory tabs. However, the form must be completed with the pertinent information to its entirety. Um, Remember to upload required documents in PDF form, of course. Okay, Devin. The extension plan requires a plan extension to be submitted. CompHub allows you to submit this with just a few clicks to generate the official document. You must complete the plan using the text boxes and other controls that are provided. And you have to sign at the bottom to certify. Where you see the red tabs, those are men you must sign in order to go further. CompHub generates the plan extension document to either download it, to view it, or to print it. You have those options.
Yes, with all CompHub generated documentation, it displays in a PDF viewer. You're going to be allowed to save, print, view, download. Obviously, we recommend downloading it so you have that for good and you're able to deal with it as you may. Just printing it helps. But if you print that and then you leave the process, you'll have to go in and search for that process all over again rather than having it permanently on your computer by downloading it. So we're going to go through the 30-day progress report. Let me pull that one up. Oh, sorry. Is there anything else from the training team regarding plan extension?
Oh, one thing, both parties must agree to extend the length of services in the rehabilitation plan. Forgot to mention that. In the 30-day progress report, you have the option to review the claim information and adjuster information for completeness and accuracy. Enter the referral date and specify the employment date. Here you can complete the progress report using the text boxes. And you also have a date picker here, which is to the right of that category. You can populate it with the date picker, or you can implement it by freehand, but you must use the format that's stated. You can attach your documentation using the upload required documents section. Once again, it has to be in PDF form. And the certifications and signatures will be at the bottom of this form. You are required to sign and certify. CompHub will generate the 30-day progress report for you to, once again, either to save it, download it, print it, and view it. And you can see how that outcome will be at the bottom of this page.
So there is one thing I would like to just remind everybody of. So when we use radio buttons, we want to make sure that we can only select one for current work status, job development placement, status of program. So although we have more than two for these are simply just options. We can only choose one from each section. All right, we've already went through voc rehab dispute, but we are going to give ourselves some credit. All right, so my other account, as I only submitted the application for a new practitioner. My other account is not going to have, is only going to have managed voc rehab registration. My other account is not going to have managed practitioner CEU, not until it has been approved by the commission will you be able to actually be entered into the system as the practitioner, unless of course you have been migrated in as a practitioner. But only a practitioner that has been fully vetted is going to be able to see that. So we're going to click right into here. There is no need for a start form for that because we're submitting that. So like I said, we generally have start forms, but for you guys, things are a little bit different because a lot of this stuff, we're submitting credits on our behalf. So that is something that we generally just click right into. There's no need to associate anything. All the association is made with you. These credits are your credits. So it is pulled, your personal information is, somebody's in the lobby, is pulled in from your profile. So right here, you'll notice that there's course requirements, but we don't have anything right there. That is to help you out. You'll notice that we have quite a few sections. Now, while we're working through CompHub, we have the ability to click this arrow and expand or collapse any of these as we're working through them. Expanding or collapsing is not going to make them go away. You're still going to have to complete all of it. It is just so you have a better view of what you want, of what you'll be able to see, and you can optimize screen space. Right now, my screen space is optimized in another way. In the top right-hand corner, when you open a process, if your process is opened like this, click this in the top right-hand corner, click this arrow in the bottom left-hand corner, just two diagonal buttons. It'll collapse those. You still have the ability to use all of that and to bring all that back out, but it'll give you a lot more space to work with. Now, course requirements are always going to be collapsed because it's quite a long section. So course requirements, they're going to list the course requirements here. You'll see the full list of the requirements. and then a list of approved courses, and an example of how WCC credits are calculated. This is not an entry field, but these are very, very important instructions, as skipping over these or not reading those may delay any processing on our side. So webinar, just like we're doing. So let's purposely do a little something. I'm going to check that. Remember that for later. So before we talked about attachments that we could label just supporting documentation. There are often times where we're going to expect specific documentation. And whenever we expect specific documentation, it's going to tell us that. Now in our agenda, including the number of clock or contact hours, a copy of a promotional material such as direct mail flyer, marketing brochure, and if it's an academic course, a copy of the description of the course out of the college catalog, and a copy of the final grade upon completion of the course. This is going to be required for us because we need this documentation. So let's see what happens if I try to upload the same exact document. Say it was an accident. File with that name has already been uploaded. So these are PDF files. So on your computer, there will not be two files with the same name as a PDF. So if that happens, it's most likely an accident. All we need to do is make sure that we're putting in the correct documentation. As we talked about before, Compub is not going to be able to read through each of these documents and verify that it is exactly what it is supposed to be. That is going to still need to be done with a keen eye on our side. But there is the detriment to that is there will be a much slower processing time. Your submission may get rejected or sent back to you for revision. So you want to make sure we're double checking that. We can double check that by clicking anything that we've uploaded. It'll download. We'll be able to see what we've uploaded, and then it'll open in a new tab. Whenever we open anything in Compub that we click, it's always going to open in a new tab. We're never going to overwrite the Compub piece. We're never going to overwrite the Compub page. You're always going to be able to have that open. And with this, if you have two monitors, you can go ahead and drag to the other one. You can go ahead and just review it, download it. As we've already uploaded it, we're mainly just checking to make sure that that is the right document. So as they were referring to earlier, to make sure it's the right document, even after it's been uploaded, you can still click in, download, and make sure you have the correct document. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and electronically sign this. I've uploaded some stuff, so I want to save this to make sure it stays on here. Now let's try to submit this. Like I said before, we're not going to accept any incomplete or any mismarked submissions. We're going to catch everything either on entry of the process, during the process, or prior to submission, of the form or whatever is being used for that process. So we see the error message. When selecting, is it board approved? Please specify board approval number. So we selected yes at the last second here. And as you noticed, we had to bring those out. So we will give it a board approval number. My favorite organization. And let's try this one more time. We've corrected what we needed to. Submitted. So we have our global form here that has been submitted. There is no need for us to worry about it getting in anywhere else. We've submitted our credits. Our credits will be received by the commission. And that is how we will be entering credits. Manage Practitioner CEU under Voc Rehab Practitioner. Getting the best payment processing that we possibly can. We want to make sure that we keep your payment information secure. We want to make sure we do something that we pick something that is the best fit for us. And when that is implemented, you guys will be the first to know. So, in order to reach us, because you guys have any questions or concerns regarding anything Compub until the release date. After release date, we have a dedicated support team. If you have questions or concerns regarding any sort of training, if we need to think about if there are some things we haven't thought about that you think we need to think about, please let us know. Do not suffer in silence. We are here for you guys. This is a mutually beneficial relationship. This system will evolve along with the community, and we need the feedback of the community to make sure that that happens.